how is collective enoughness different from what we so traditionally build projects and programs? We may even be in a system that we don't even realize we're in, if that's just simply the way we be and the questions we ask and how we do the do. So could you help us unpack what's really going on?
You guys saw in so many of the videos and so much of the writing that so much of what we do because that's the way we've done it. And if we had a scarcity mindset 100 years ago and 200 years ago and 500 years ago and 500,000 years ago, that we just continue to have a scarcity mindset. And that's, and that having to do it alone piece, I'm not sure where that started, but it is just such an absurd assumption because nobody's ever done anything alone. And so when we create programs in the normal way we do it, we have an idea. We may talk to a couple people in our organization or in our circle of friends about that idea. We go out, we do some research, and then we start developing the program in our heads. And we start mapping it out. We create a plan, and we create a budget, which is rooted in money. And we may do a focus group, but a focus group isn't to build it together. A focus group is, I have an idea. What do you think of my idea? And then we go out and we fund it and we run the program. And if somebody says, you know, somebody else is doing that, immediately what we're taught in marketing is, how are you going to differentiate yourself from that other person so you get the money and they don't? These are all the systems that we are taught. This is how you develop programs. This is how you do marketing. Not all those other people are doing this. That's awesome. Let's go play. And the difference here is that we interrupt that at the very beginning. I have an idea. The first thing I do is I go out and talk to lots and lots of people. And I start asking, do you have experience with this? Have you seen something like this? What are you know, I'm sharing a little bit about what I'm thinking about doing. What does that raise for you? What questions does that raise for you? What would you be thinking about if you were me? And you start building it together. And from building it together, you're planning it together. And then you start asking, okay, what do we have together? And we're happy to share together because we built it together, because it's all built on our ideas together. And it's just this completely different model from what we're used to. The thing that's really interesting, let me see if I can pull it up on the screen here. You guys saw these graphics of the brain in the video. And what winds up happening when we're in that normal mode where we have to do it ourselves is we are constantly being triggered in fear. And so it is an ongoing loop that we're creating by, I have to do it myself. I'm not entirely sure how to do it myself, but I got to do it myself. That means I got to do the homework. I've got to go out. I've got to ask people about how to do this, but not give them too much information, because what if they steal my idea, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. And so we're constantly triggering those brain chemicals that reinforce scarcity, that reinforce fear. And what it does, and you guys saw this in the video as well, is it actually precludes our thinking rationally. It precludes our thinking rationally. And so the systems that we are used to using actually preclude our using our brains to the very, very best of their ability. It puts up that barrier, that fear barrier, and we just can't get there. It is why so many of us experience the conflicting feelings of, we know cognitively we can probably trust each other, but something's telling us we can't. Cognitively is that front of the brain. We understand that routinely, over and over again, life has proven to us that we can probably trust people, and that we can certainly trust people more than not trust people. That's that front of the brain. But because the traditional way we work is all triggering that base of the brain, we can never get there. And what happens with collective enoughness when we work from that place of together and enoughness, this doesn't trigger. The back of the brain just doesn't have any reason to trigger because it feels good, because we're all contributing, because we're all playing together and we're all sparking ideas. And so it's actually brain science that of why this feels better and works and perpetuates itself is because it's not that you have to tamp down, you've got to get over the fear. The fear just never triggers because it feels good.
Yeah, with the brain science, I love how you map it out so clearly factually to also say there is no science to back up the myth of go it alone and rugged individualism. You can't point to any part of the brain that's firing in a good way for us. And some comments from participants is also that projecting perfection and invulnerability equals going it alone, coming from Ari, and Laura contributing to say, and the fear of being seen making a mistake, which means we have to be vulnerable and be human, or not being the expert. So it becomes that cycle of fear that you don't get out of and you cannot create and see that there is that other way.
Well, the being the expert part is about you. Not you, but you. It's about me. I need to be seen. What if I am seen as not the smartest person in the room? What if I am seen messing up? And then we tell this story about what's going to happen to us if we're seen as messing up. The story is usually not true. But when we build it together, we get to know each other and to understand that we're all walking into something we've never done before. So we get to support each other in that. Rebecca shared at the beginning of this live Q&A session that every part of this workshop is an experiment. And what was interesting is you've got 4 people, including Dimitri, who's hiding right now, but you've got 4 people with decades of experience in presenting and doing workshops. And when we got into the room, because we've built this together, we looked at each other and went, I'm a little bit nervous about today. Why? Because we'd never done it before, but the ability to talk to each other and to say, this feels a little, we've not done this before, and to do it together, we were like, yeah, we're good. We're good. And you just written that large, and it's very dramatic. Yeah.
One of the shifts about moving from the alone to the individual to the collective or collective enoughness is moving from doing something for them to doing something for us. And I found the power of this when I talked with caseworkers and they would say, I love my job because I love helping people. I just get this feeling, it feels so good. And I was thinking, why are the professionals taking all that good feeling? Why couldn't we give that good feeling to everyone? And instead of targeting them, we are the us. And so we started talking about, hey, if you're getting the good feeling as a professional, maybe as human service workers and as trying to, help people in our community, maybe that's not the route to go. So instead of them, we started talking about us and how we could spread that good feeling of helping each other to everyone so that there was no longer this client relationship. It was people coming together in a community suffering in poverty, and what can we do for each other? And it was a small shift, but it really made all the difference in the world. And that that little bit from us to them was a very concrete example of that collective enoughness, moving from the individual, I'm the expert, I'm the professional, I'm going to help you, to, okay, this is us, we're all suffering here, and we need to move forward out of this kind of condition. It was very empowering for us all.
Lisa has shared, I'm part of an emerging coalition working to slow the proliferation of new nonprofits in the state. So the collective enoughness approach is incredibly vital to this effort. Instead of differentiating ourselves so that we can compete, it is about how can we do this together. We'll want to hear more, Lisa.
It's interesting. And again, Rebecca, it was the first question that you asked about existing systems. If you go to a class at a nonprofit resource center or a chamber of commerce, you will be taught the very things that they're complaining about. So we're looking at this proliferation of organizations, which again, I have strong feelings about. If we, you know, my glib response to people who have said, you know, we have 6 domestic violence organizations in town, and I'd say, do we still have domestic violence? Then maybe we don't have enough. But that whole sense that you've got to build it on your own, we're taught that. We're taught that. So the reason that you're doing that and then yelling at yourself of why am I doing that? You were taught to do that. And you were taught details of how to do that. And if you get a degree in nonprofit management and social enterprise management, you're taught to do the things that don't work, that go counter to what it is that actually creates change.
I know I can't tell you how many people tell me, Christy, you're in government now and you need to make sure you run it as a business. And my question is always why? A business is there to make money and to grow larger. Is that what you want your government to do?
Well, and the other piece of that is that smart businesses understand that they're stronger together than they are separately. These concepts apply absolutely. If they apply to the plumbing in my house, then they apply everywhere. And you saw the examples of that in the video. You saw the Amy's Foods examples of you know, you can't go to Swanson's and ask them how to do it. Yeah, you can.